Ìyanra o, ẹ̀yin ará nulẹ̀. Orúkọ tèmi ni Ezekiel Torin o. Sorry, is Yoruba abi? Is English abi? How am I supposed to start? Hi, good morning. My name is Ezekiel. Questions are hard. Hi guys, my name is Ezekiel Olajumoke. You can call me Mr. Olajumoke for short. I'm the founder of Nectar Green Snails, and at Nectar Green Snails, we breed healthy snail mates all year round. And right here, I'm so excited to share my journey with you, and in fact, how it all started. My grandma actually made me have interest in snail farming because in year 2013, she was diagnosed of partial stroke, and we used snail meat and snail fluid to cure her stroke. 11 months down the line, she was able to walk without clutches. I mean without clutches, those clutches that we used to walk. She was able to walk without it. But the most challenging part of sourcing snails for grandma was during dry season. Snails were expensive, the sizes were smaller. So I'm like, okay, so what if we have a system that can help us produce snails all year round? And that was what bettered Nectar Green Snails. I started anyhow. I just gathered snails each time it rains and put them into empty plastics, empty drums, empty tires. I was just doing it anyhow. And interestingly, my grandma told me that there are some snails we can't rear because they won't grow big. I was like, grandma, leave that story, Jerry. It's not true. But down the line, I discovered that those things are true. So I started it first like play. Then it entered hobby, then it started getting interesting. Then I started making research on snails. Then 2017, I sold my first set of snails for as low as 15,000 naira. Just an hotel very close to us. I just went to the place and tell them, oh, I have snails for sale. And they said, this is your thing. Oh yeah, let's buy it now. 15,000 naira. And I'm like, yo, this is making sense. So what if I decide to just do this thing as a business? What will it cost me? I started from my family house. My family house is somewhere around Sango Ota. You know, from there, I started from a wooden pen. I discovered that wooden pen, they get rotten because we apply water on them. Then I upgrade to trench pens. Then I upgrade to free range farm. So presently at NG Snails, we run an open free range snail farming model where we allow snails to roam around freely on an open field like it's their natural habitat. But for today, we are doing this on an intensive snail farm. This is a commercial snail farm where we have intensive snail pen unit. And I started anyhow. Remember, I used old tires, old drums, old buckets, old anything. And it is from that old thing I discovered that my snails were dying. So because they were dying, I had to build a wooden pen. It was a 3-tier wooden pen and raise the snails there. The snails, I just picked them for free around. But it was dry season. I picked them for free around during rainy season. So it was during dry season that I packed those snails and gave it to the hotels around. Funnily, they bought at 15,000 and it started to make sense. Because I made my first income, I just spoke with few of my friends that, can you please give me small amount of money? I think that time it was around either 30,000 or 50,000. I can't remember. Then I got started from that wooden pen. Now I have a research background. I've been researching about snails since 2013. When it's time for me to start as a business in 2017, I already knew the kind of species I want to grow. We have 3 species of giant African land snails. We call them giant African land snails because we find them mostly in Africa. In fact, mostly in West Africa. And because those species are the ones that grow real big. We have 3 species. We have the Achatina fulica, we have the Achatina achatina, and we have the Achatina marginata. I'll take that again. We have the Achatina fulica, we call it AF. We have the Achatina achatina, we call it AA, and we have the Achatina marginata, we call it AM. You see, out of those 3 species, I just love the AM because it is native to Nigeria. In fact, it is native to our soil here in southwestern part of Nigeria. So we have the Achatina marginata, and I love them because they grow their meat faster compared to the rest. Their egg laying prowess is average, not as high as the AF and not as high as the AA, but I love it because their eggs are bigger. So because their eggs are bigger, their baby snails too will be big. So that is why we chose the Achatina marginata variety ovum. We call it AMO here at NG Snails because they grow faster. Also, our housing model, don't forget that I am a researcher, so I started from wooden pen, I upgraded to trench pen, and we upgraded to the free range farm. The free range farm is like the full-blown large scale of it. Whichever way you want to start, you can either start intensive pens, that's where you have your wooden pens, that's where we have the trench pen. You can also use the extensive housing system, that's where you have your free range. Your free range can either be covered, what people call greenhouse, or what we call the net house, or it can be left open like an open field. That is, we practice the open field here at NG Snails, and ever since is onward forever. Thank you. So snails eat everything, but not all things are beneficial to snails. They eat everything, but not all things are beneficial to snails. So snails are majorly vegetarians. They feed on leaves, fruits, vegetables. But when it comes to breeding snails, you can give them 5 things: fruits, leaves, vegetables, formulated feed, calcium mix, and in fact let us add water. So 6: fruits, leaves, vegetables, formulated feed, calcium mix, and water. So you can give snails any kind of fruits, just ensure that it is ripe. You can give snails any kind of leaves, just ensure that they are edible ones like pawpaw, cocoyam, potatoes, moringa, gliricidia, mulberry leaves, edible leaves. Of course, you can serve them with vegetables, your pumpkin leaves, your jute leaves, your spinach, your vegetables, your tomatoes. Yes, they eat tomatoes. Even bitter leaf, they eat bitter leaf. Then formulated feed. Here at NG Snails, we have our own unique formulated feed. We call it the shell-off snail feed. Shell-off snail feed was bettered from research, and it helps the snails to grow better and also help them lay good number of eggs. Then we have the calcium mix. Calcium mix are made from 3 categories of calcium. We put them together to help snails build their shells and help them lay quality eggs. Then water. You know, human beings will drink water. When we eat food, the food may choke, but when we drink water, the water helps the food to calm down. So water aids digestion, and yes, we give them water. So all the food categories I just shared with you, all we just need to do is to just plot a timetable for them. So you too, you can do that at your convenience. Plot a timetable and we are good to go. Then we move into the reason why we breed snails. We breed snails. As a snail farmer, I breed snails so that there can be snail meat all year round. Wet season, dry season, anytime you come to our farm, you will get snails, and that is the joy of snail farming. So naturally, snails are found in abundance during the wet season, but during dry season they become scarce. But as a snail farmer, we breed them for both wet season availability and dry season availability. So when you come to a snail farm, you have it all year round. There is no season, wet, dry season, we are good. Now when you have a snail will lay eggs. The eggs will hatch into tiny baby snails. Those tiny baby snails are what we now keep feeding, keep nurturing, keep taking good care of to grower sizes, then to medium sizes, then to table sizes, then to giant sizes. So from baby snails to jumbo sizes is like 3 years. From baby snails to table sizes is like 12 months. Table sizes means they are like medium sizes and you can eat them for consumption. right? And it does not really matter how long it takes. It only matters on how well you are able to meet your market demand. So if your market is telling you that give us table sizes, don't stress yourself breeding jumbo sizes, just do table size and we are good to go. So if your market is telling you that give us jumbo sizes, it means that you are selling at premium. Remember, you waited for 3 good years. So usually we do for our premium customers and export market. So people always ask, do snails get sick? Of course, yes. The reason why your snails are sick is because your management practices is poor, your farm is not hygienic. Number 3, your farm is overcrowded. So during overcrowding, there's always an outbreak of diseases, because, and also if you go and get your snail source from untraceable sources, if you just go and get your snails from anyhow person, you must be able to track the source of your snails, and that is why you have people like NG Snails around you, so that we can tell you the age of the snails, what you should feed your snails, how you should undo your snails. So basically, for us to address diseases, we have some routines we do, we have some medicinal plants we give them. When you come for training, you will know those medicinal plants. We have some water infusion we do for them. When you come for training, you will know this water infusion. Then we also have a mix. We call it chasoff mix. That chasoff mix is made from recycled snail shells. So by the time we sprinkle it into the pens, either your trench pen or your free range farm, it helps reduce mortality and the effect of contaminants. In fact, the main reason why you have contamination on your snail farm is because snails, they poo on the same spot, they feed on the same spot, on the same soil. So it is expected that you as a farmer, you are tilling your soil. If you are using an intensive pen system, you are tilling your soil once every week, or at most once every 2 weeks, and you mix chasoff with that soil so that it will reduce the amount of contaminant on that soil. If you can follow this laid down process of sourcing your snails from a reputable farm, of not overcrowding your snail farm, of spraying chasoff mix on your farm, of doing water infusion system for your snails, of feeding them medicinal plants, and keeping good proper farm hygiene, there will be no disease outbreak on your snail farm. See, don't believe them. Some people will tell you that when you start snails, your snails will lay 1,000 eggs for you, and those 1,000 eggs will now hatch into baby snails, and within a year you start to make millions. It's not true. They are wrong misconceptions. Snails are patient. So you have to note it that before you come into snail farming, you must have a long-term goal. So it is not immediate. Your profit starts showing up on your 3rd year. You can start selling your snails after 12 months, but your profit, profit means that you subtracted your cost price from your selling price, and you started to make profit. So some people always say that, oh, you start snail within 12 months, start to make millions. It is not true. Snail farming is patience farming. Why is it patient? Because snails, they lay eggs, and those eggs will hatch into baby snails. Your profit is on those eggs. So you wait for those eggs to grow into table sizes. That's like 12 months. That's when you start to sell. Some people also believe that snails, when you are farming snails, your life will be slow because snails are slow. I've been farming snails for the past 8 years now. My life is not slow. So it is not true. So you can always breed snails, and you ensure you do it right, your life will move forward. Then some people also believe that, oh, how do I sell my snails? Oh, where do I get my market from? And all of that. In fact, since the day you start breeding snails, you have to start telling people that you have snails for sale, so that you begin to register in their mind that, okay, oh, this person now sells snail, this person now sells snail. Remember that people do not know you as a snail farmer before. So don't just think that, oh, once I bring my snail out like this, boom, everybody will start to buy my snail. It is not true. You have to market them. So the process of marketing means that you are telling people about your business. This is what I do now. I sell snails, I have snails, and with time they begin to reach out to you. So you can reach out to your hotels, your restaurant, your lounge, your supermarket, corporate offices. You can add value to the snails, sell it as pepper snails, veggie snails, snail with momo, snail with gizzard, and all of that, dried snails, export market. I mean, don't just give up, keep on working on it. So another thing is that people believe that snails, you have to be checking them often and touching them and romancing them. No, you have to give your snails some breathing space. Snails love privacy, so you must ensure that where you keep your snails is private enough for them to be able to breed and lay. With this, I really do hope you understand that if you want to farm snails, you must give yourself some time, give your snails some time to grow before they hit the market. And of course, snails die. Snails die. So don't go into snail farming because someone told you that snails, they don't die at all. If you don't breed snails well, snails will die. That is the place of having a mentor and also going for training. So ensure you get trained before you start your snail farm. Remember, if you want to buy a car, you must learn how to drive the car. If you go and meet your car vendor that please sell me a car, your car vendor will not even ask you that can you drive. The guy will just sell the car to you and expect that you can drive the car. So before you get your snails, please get trained, get a mentor, and you'll have a smooth learning experience. Let's do steps. Farming snail is sweet, and at the same time, farming snail is tough. How is farming snail sweet? When your snails start to lay eggs, it's just like a mother and a child. When the baby is still very tiny and the baby is always crying and all of that, the mother may be angry. But as soon as the baby grow up and the baby starts to go to school and the baby graduates in the university, the mother will be happy. Exactly. For snails, when you bring your parent stock and the parent stock starts to lay eggs, you'll be happy. Why? Because those eggs are the future of your farm. Now when those eggs now hatch into baby snails, you'll be happy again. When those baby snails now enter table sizes, you'll be happy. But the pata of them all, of your happiness, is when they pay for your snails and you collect money. That's why we do those things, right? It is not enough for you to just farm snails. That one is agriculture. Much more, it is important that you are able to sell your snails and make money. That is agribusiness. In fact, you will now have to sit down and look at your snail business that, how can I make money from different angles? How can I make money from different perspectives? And that is what we do here at NG Snails. Here at NG Snails, when we grow the snails to table size, we clean the snails up. The cleaned snail meat, we can sell them as frozen, we can sell them as frozen, we can sell them as cleaned without frozen, unfrozen. Then we can also dry those snails for export market. When you export your snails, you've not been to UK, you've not been to US, you've not been to Finland, but your snails are forced to enter there as the talker. As they see your snails for UK, so you say go they happy as a farmer now. You understand what I mean? Exactly. That's part of your happiest moment, that the works of your hands are being sought after in diaspora, are being sought after in European countries. Now, that being said, let's look at what really makes this work so stressful. Number one, for intensive farms like this, opening of the pens. Here on this farm, we have close to 1,200 snail pens. Now, imagine me, I'm just one person. I have to open 1,200 snail pens. What does that mean? It means that fatigue will set in, hand will pain me. It's not just only that one. But you also note that as we are opening the pens, we are checking their feeding pattern, we are checking the snails and all of that. So it may be a bit stressful, but as the work gets into you and you master your craft, it will be a bit easier, right? Now, number two is feeding them. For you to feed snails, snails are voracious, they eat a lot, so you have to ensure that you go and source for their feed. You source for their feed, you wash the feed, you give them the feed. In fact, there are cases where you have to shred the feed. For instance, now pawpaw, so you have to go and source for the pawpaw leaves, you wash the pawpaw leaves, you cut the pawpaw leaves, and you serve them in feeding trays. It implies that if you start your snail farm without planting what your snails will eat, then it will be very stressful. But if you've planted what your snails will eat, it means that you are not walking very far. You are just moving out of your breeding session, harvesting the food and feeding the snails, right? That is one. Number two, snails don't like to be exposed. In fact, snails are introverts. In fact, snails are very shy. So they like it that you put mulch materials. Mulch materials are materials that help snails to hide under them, like dried leaves. You put dried leaves inside your snail pen. When you put dried leaves inside your snail pen, your snails can hide underneath it and feel comfortable. Now, sourcing for these dried leaves may be stressful because during dry season, that is when we have a lot of dried leaves. You know, dry season now, the trees won't have enough water, so they'll be dropping their leaves. But you see, during rainy season, the trees have enough water, so trees that used to shed down leaves for you, they don't have leaves to shed. So mulching them may be a bit taxful, and that is why we plant crops like plantain, because plantain have broader leaves and we can cut them. Are you with me now? Another thing too is washing their trays. For intensive pens like this, you have to put the trays at night and remove the trays during the day. So during the day, we remove the trays and we wash their trays. Remember, I told you that we have over 1,200 pens. It means that we put 1,200 feeding trays. Oh, you think I'm joking? Let me show you the trays. These are the trays. These are drinking trough and these are feeding trays. You see that? You can see the water dripping out of it. It shows that they are cleaned. So at night, they lay these trays back inside the trench pen, and in the morning they collect them back from the pens. So all this, in fact, even me carrying it like this is heavy. So when you're on the snail farm, just note that snail farming is not for lazy people. Don't mind people that always tell you that, oh, snail farming is very easy. Snail farming is not easy. It is after you've mastered the craft, that's when it becomes easy. Oh, I've been giving you ogi and hot water before that. You should come and make eko. You will make eko. If you don't know how to make eko, it will have cocoa. What is cocoa in your language? Fix it in yourself. Your ogi will have cocoa. But when you've now mastered the craft of making the eko, you just be turning it like pro and be making the eko. Exactly. That is snail farming in simple terms. Now that you know, let's do snails.